Hello my beautiful friend and welcome back to another video. So today it's not Nintendo. Riot has done something, and so let's just dive straight in. This is a video by Bellular News. I really like him, does amazing videos, and let's see what he has, because everything he says is way better than I could do my research on, but I have some takes on it.
Gambling sponsors are now targeting predominantly young men through esports, and today Riot Games is basically about to make the whole thing much worse. But just so this is in context, this is the same industry that's linked to a 25% rise in US.
The consequences of America's big bet on sports gambling. In states without online sports betting, bankruptcy filings increased modestly. But in states with online sports betting, filings surged by over 25% across the same period. I think, oh damn, this is last year, this is just 9 months ago. Holy crap. But yeah, it totally makes sense. I hate gambling.
Bankruptcy filings, so that's lovely. And young men in
the regulatory review from the recreview.org. Two recent working papers, both released in July 2024, analyzed the impact of legalized sports gambling on consumer financial health. Although the two research teams took different approaches, the results are directionally similar. And both papers argue that the breaking of legal barriers around sports gambling has harmed financial health of American consumers, especially so in the case of online sports betting, and particularly among low-income and low-savings consumers. That absolutely makes sense. If you are in a low-income and low-savings household, you of course are looking for something that is going to hopefully bring you in money. And I don't want to be mean here, but there is also the probability that if you are in a low income or low savings household, your education is not the best. So understanding numbers, understanding statistics, and everything that has to do with betting basically, they will just rip you off. And this is one of the things I really hate about it. Not only the addiction that can be nurtured with this type of thing.
Low-income regions are the hardest hit population group. So with that in mind, now we get to talk about how the biggest name in esports has just opened the goddamn floodgates. In short, Riot Games is allowing betting sponsors into League of Legends and into
how we're doing it responsibly. There is no responsibly with online bets or bets at all.
Valorant. And by making this move, they give every other esports league justification to follow. Basically, these companies know exactly who they are reaching, and now they have a direct pipeline. Here's the change. Sports betting sponsorships are coming to pro teams in North America, Europe, and the Middle East. Now, Riot first considered this in December 2024, but now the president, John Needham, has published this
that early
lovely blog post. It outlines what's
Wait.
But now the
There's
president,
a lot of
John
text. Why is he
Needham,
just
has published
skimming
this
over
lovely...
it? At Riot, we've always believed that building the future of esports means investing in a sustainable ecosystem. Betting is not sustainable. Not at all. Not just for today, but for the long run. That's why we're focused on supporting the players, teams, and the fans who fuel it all. So your wallets. In 2023, I shared our vision for building a sustainable future for our esports ecosystem and later followed up with specific changes, like a new partnership model and deeper work to unlock more predictable revenue streams and sponsorship opportunities for partner teams. I love League of Legends. Not the game per se, I haven't played the MOBA for a long while, but the world. The Riot Forge games, which sadly are not going to be anymore. I'm excited for 2XKO, even though the name is stupid. And I'm really excited for the MMO. But this is a bummer. This really sucks.
Blog post. It outlines what's happening.
Okay, one area that's been on our radar and that teams have been asking us to consider for years is sports betting as a sponsor category. The teams have been asking that? I don't know if I believe that. Color me skeptical here. This is why I'm in that position again. Today I want to share why we're opening up the betting sponsorship category for Tier 1 LoL and Valorant teams in the Americas and EMEA, and what we're doing to make sure it's done the right way.
Why they're doing it, plus how they plan to minimize risk.
Why sports betting? Why now?
Wondering, why now?
No, wait, I read everything, so we're going to
how
read.
They plan to minimize risk.
We know sports betting isn't for everyone and that some fans have strong feelings about it. Yes, and we respect it. Apparently not. However, the reality is that betting activity already exists, which it does, around our sports and will continue whether we engage with it or not. Yes. Historically, this has been a restricted sponsorship category, and RIOT has not engaged with betting companies. Teams have asked us to reconsider our stance. Still, again, I'm skeptical. And after years of analysis to ensure we got it right, we agreed it was time to open up this category to create more revenue opportunities.
Wondering, why now? And their justification is fairly simple. They say the teams have been asking for gambling sponsors for years. Obviously, because it's a lot of money. And audiences are already gambling. And here's the scale. League and Valorant generate 10.7
billion in 2024. But here's the problem. 70% of bets across all esports are placed in unregulated markets with bookmakers who aren't licensed. So this is all just an excuse to have their own bookies have a finger in the pie, basically. Yeah, which it totally is. It's just other people are making money on our stuff. Now we want to make money as well.
Billion in gambling. But there is a problem, and that problem is that 70% of those bets are happening in unregulated bookies. And the unregulated part is what bothers RIOT. Now, they say it's unsafe because people may lose money because
sit on the sidelines, will risk fans'
and that absolutely is a risk. Of course, the other side is, people losing absolute humongous amounts of money via traditional gambling, working as intended. Here's the basic logic they're using. So, you know how teenagers will be tempted to drink alcohol? So you might think it's better to give them something light under supervision rather than have them, drink Tesco value vodka in a field somewhere. But
the funny thing is with those, in Germany we call it Alkopops. I don't know if it's in other countries as well. Those really sugary alcohol drinks that will make you drunk really, really fast because you don't know that you drink alcohol. I believe they're only available when you're 18 now, not 16 like beer. But I'm not sure on that, but I must also admit, I really do not care. I'm an alcoholic. I haven't... Oh, okay, wait. I've been dry for 13 years. 2 years ago, I had a relapse for a day. Luckily, it was just a day. And since then, now it's been almost exactly 2.5 years since I haven't touched a drop of alcohol. So I'm not going to Google that.
Right, is that by legitimizing it, by making it more normal, giving it way more exposure, will you reduce the average damage done per individual, but actually cause far more harm overall because you've just went and expanded the market to way more people by making it easier to access? And would that actually mean, ran over time, you'd start to find more really, really bad problem gambling cases, because basically you're going to reach way more people, and that means way more people who could
this
potentially
is going to
fall
be such
into
a huge
gambling.
problem.
That's certainly my worry, but first, let's take a look at what this will actually look like in esports. A fun thing about this is Riot absolutely knows how this can be bad luck and all of the potential problems, so there is a degree of supervision from them in that they will personally vet every single sponsor. They also say they'll make sure that partner betting services are using Riot-approved data, which will mean that nobody gets actively manipulated. But there is a bit more. Teams are going to have to self-regulate their partnerships.
Self-regulate? This is like, I don't know. Again, with Blizzard and Ubisoft, no, there is no sexual harassment. We checked. Or, I don't know. Like my dad, when my mom made delicious food, and it was like, oh yeah, I will keep an eye out that the children will not eat it. And of course, it was my dad who ate some of the food. Not everything. He wasn't an asshole. But, I mean, my sister and I would have also stole a slice or two of delicious mom food. But still, he's self-regulated. He kept an eye out that my sister and I are not going to eat pizza.
And Riot's going to demand that each team makes an internal integrity program. You know, so that they can investigate themselves. And as for what that's got to be, Riot says, a self-defined policy for selecting sponsorships. I don't know, doesn't seem like the highest bar on the earth to me.
Yeah.
Teams can be held to this, though, by Riot and by fans, so you can see why they want to do this. You know, it's kind of like a PR incentive thing, and it's all designed to keep bad actors out of things. And of course, money is going to be trickled down, just like how many gambling policies work. Riot say that they'll take a portion of the revenue, and they say they'll invest that in Tier 2 esports programs. So the implication, basically, right, is that these sponsors will become preferred betting partners, and in theory, that's safer than unregulated bookies, and that basically money from all of this is going to go into, like, the more grassroots side of esports. So really, dear gamer, all of this gambling is in fact good for you.
Of course.
Brackets, it's going to make all of us a shitload of money. But here's the thing. With how Riot are doing this, they are absolutely being cowardly, right? Because they've not fully committed to this. If Riot had have simply said, look, we want sport betting in our league as a part of the financial ecosystem, then they could have said that, you know, maybe just like any other advertising thing. But instead, no, they are hedging their bets. You see, they still insist that gambling
Do you mean they're betting on it?
Is bad, right? I mean, otherwise, why ensure that it's not officially connected? And even after vetting, well, just take a look.
Dude, what was that haircut?
Sure that it's not officially connected. And even after...
What is this? Why? Is he scared that rain will fall on his... Oh, I don't know.
Vetting... Well, just take a look at this. Riot-owned broadcast and social channels have got to stay...
Will stay betting free, which means no ads, no sponsored segments from betting partners, and no betting partner logos on team jerseys. This feels like half-baked. He's absolutely right. I mean, I like it because it makes it a little bit harder for people to find those betting partners, but obviously it's going to be very, very easy. It's just a couple more clicks to find betting partners.
Betting free. That means no ads, it means no sponsored segments from betting partners, and it means no betting partner logos on team jerseys. So that's quite funny when you think about it. It is putting the pressure on everyone else. Official streams, absolutely no gambling. So who's going to get stuck with it? Well, I think the answer is fairly obvious. And we know that it's the team owners who really, really wanted this. So they're going to have to figure out where to put
okay, now I understand. It's not the players of the team who want this. It's the fucking management again.
contractually obligated sponsor content, and almost certainly that means pressure on players, or doing things like event co-streams. And those are actually not small numbers. As an example, co-casters of the 2024 Worlds made up 87.5 million hours, which is 45% of all event streams.
Holy
so that's
crap.
actually huge. Now, teams are going to have to walk quite the tightrope here.
Wait, was
all of
Tolkien in Germany? But damn, 3.67 million by hours watched.
event streams. So that's actually huge. Now, teams are going to have to walk quite the tightrope here. Basically, they've got to navigate platform policies and local laws. And as they do all of that, Riot will be raking in cash for permitting this.
It's passive
So the
income
takeaway is quite a funny one. Riot Games thinks that betting ads are okay, but only if they're from chosen partners, and they don't think they're okay if they've got to advertise it themselves. Say, by a team having a logo on a jersey and that team going to an event that they broadcast. Just quite weird. And it does look rather cowardly. Like they're kind of trying to have it both ways. And if it doesn't seem convincing to you, well, it doesn't seem convincing to me, and I don't think it should to either of us.
Yeah,
it's no surprise.
Definitely.
The public reaction here has been absolute skepticism at every level. So with it looking so strange, why would Riot and these teams think that this is the way forward? The answer is very, very simple. Guaranteed money. Who doesn't want some guaranteed money? Essentially, esports groups have not really had that much guaranteed money lately. The esports winter started ages ago, and
esports winter is coming. Diversify to survive. The esports winter is coming. Like many ad-supported businesses, esports organizations are preparing for the worst. This was 2022. I mean, betting is going to ruin so many people, especially now that it's officially supported, even if it's half-baked supported. Because when people lose everything on betting, they are not going to be able to bet anymore. Those people are out of the equation. You will lose those people. This is just a temporary thing. This is just short-term money again.
It's still happening. We're seeing layoffs, we're seeing closures. Now, Saudi Arabian wealth has...
Saudi Arabia's economic potential of gaming and esports. Gaming in Saudi Arabia has evolved far beyond just a hobby. It has become a dynamic industry driving innovation and shaping the kingdom's future. Damn, I didn't know that.
Somewhat helped because, you know, they want to do some... I've forgotten the word of it, but it's kind of when you launder your...
Sports washing is a term used to describe the practice of governments, individuals, corporations, or other groups using sports to improve reputations tarnished by wrongdoing. That's what basically every government does. Oh, it's soccer time again. Oh, it's football. Oh, don't look at what we're doing in the background.
Reputation through sports. It's a very well-known thing. And obviously,
Damn, Saudi Arabia expands its sports washing ambitions to the world of gaming. By zeroing in on the burgeoning esports market, the kingdom has added a new layer to its soft power strategy in an attempt to polish its public image. Yeah, but is it like a China situation now that games have to be censored in a specific kind of way? Because Saudi Arabia is very strict when it comes to gay people, to trans people, and so on. Like in Chinese games, you're not allowed to show skeletons. In Arcane, the love scene of Vi and Caitlyn has been cut out. They've even cut out them sitting side by side in another scene, and so on.
Money has got its own ethical concerns. So with all that floating around, basically this is more consistent revenue from an industry that's desperate to expand and is desperate for consistent revenue. But of course, this is all happening in a way that benefits Riot, but does not benefit viewers. How many viewers would never have touched gambling before this?
I don't know, gambling.
But it's probably a lot. And what Riot have done is they've opened the door for that to happen, right? By normalizing it. And this doesn't even address some of the wider problems. Take a look at all of those gacha-based cosmetics that Riot rolls out. And I'm sure you've seen the headlines.
Oh, yeah.
$350 to get like the big...
Dude, no, this is not even the worst one. There was a faker skin for Ari, and people, what was it, a third-party seller who sold the skin as well, told people not to take on credit for the skin because, what was it, every third or fourth person did this just for a skin in a game.
Event skin. Well, funnily enough, a lot of people would say that that's kind of like the same as gambling. I mean, sure, you can't cash out,
No,
but it's
it's not.
probability-based bullshit.
Because you don't
item
get
that you
anything
want.
out of a video game.
Now they would be feeding that sort of audience, one that they're cultivating with all these gacha mechanics, directly into betting companies. You know, so I feel like if there's people who are going to be problematic with gacha and get themselves into bother, there's probably a lot of crossover with people who will get themselves into gambling bother. And financial trouble from gambling hits young men in low-income regions the hardest. It's rough stuff, right? And studies do suggest that, of course, that is the exact demographic that is
Dude,
also...
that was fast. Compared to sports bettors, esports bettors were more likely to be younger, university-educated, employed, lower-income earners, and speak a non-English language at home. Yeah, kind of makes sense. Especially the younger part.
So the most likely to bet on esports. The case you can make for this leading to a lot of problems is, I think, pretty compelling. I mean, it's targeting the same group that is proven to show more problem gambling behavior than other groups. And then, of course, there's the risk to athletes themselves. And this is something that's not commonly thought about. Now, of course, esports people, they'll face match-fixing allegations as, in traditional sports. But now there's an entire new type of hostility for them. Because when somebody loses a bet on one of these sites, on the team that promoted that betting site, that anger can now go straight to the players.
It's not can, it will. We have seen this in so many other betting things, be it horse racing, and I don't mean the enemy horse girl racing thingy, be it baseball, or I don't know, tennis, because the tennis games were a couple of weeks ago, that's why it's on my mind.
Blame can go straight to the players. And that's not me speculating. This is the actual experience of athletes in physical sports. And it's one that's gotten far worse with micro-betting and app-based gambling that just, well, make it far easier to engage in all that shit. Here's a really fun quote. A December study by 4 of the biggest tennis federations in the world found that angry gamblers were responsible for nearly half of the 12,000 abusive social media posts directed at tennis players that year. So that's, not great. And all of this is before we talk about how gambling changes the culture. And of course, in this context, it's changing the culture around our games. And that, of course, can hurt how our games are made and designed. We can begin this whole game gambling thing with the very obvious black market of CSGO skins, right? So skin gambling is already fairly entrenched. But these companies, they crave something more. They crave legitimacy. And Riot Games just gave them that. You see, gambling groups and online casinos have tried to break into gaming for years and years and years.
Oh,
and we've seen this in many ways, like, say, press sites getting flooded with sponsored post offers. I actually get loads of sponsored post offers from similarly sketchy shit that, of course, I decline because I don't want to promote gambling to people.
Thank you.
But the whole point in all of this is about normalizing the advertising of gambling, right? Getting it in front of an audience who are familiar with the idea of playing odds.
Yeah, just do it step by step.
At this already happening.
Desensitize people, that's the strategy.
Began running ads after being sold. And those ads included best offshore casinos for US players and best online casinos in the US.
For US
Lovely
players.
Stuff. Meanwhile, Aftermath covered the Adventure Games Forum sale. This is wild. 20 years of archives were purged, but do you know what was added? Gambling coverage with advertising. Lovely. So, it's not about the games. It's not about gaming culture. It's about getting gambling in front of more eyes. So it's normalized. That's one piece of the puzzle. Get more people to see gambling in the context of gaming. The next piece of the puzzle, well, that's to make it legitimate. To make it legitimate, to make it feel legitimate, you gotta
there
get
is
someone
no
like
law
Riot
against
on board.
it.
And that is exactly what Riot have been seemingly happy to do. Okay, I'll turn the focus back to Riot. Now, on this channel, we've
Kaita.
extensively covered Riot's financial concerns, and because of all that, we do kind of know why they're approving this now. Teams, of course, need to survive the esports winter. That's very important for Riot. It's important to their whole business model, the culture around their game, the culture that drives all those skin sales. Now, of course, Riot gets
just
a
hope
cut
spring
of
is
that
coming.
monthly guaranteed revenue, but they're not comfortable with this decision, or else they wouldn't have framed it as being a risky thing. They wouldn't have banned it from official streams. They also know the players.
This is not only a risky thing. This could be a final blow to all of this, and I hate this.
Won't like it. They're doing it anyway, and now the floodgates are very much opened, because every competitive esports scene, from the perspective of financial incentives, they all want these sponsors to get a green light. And if this is happening with Riot, right? If Riot can get comfortable and take the flak for being a bit of a first mover, then smaller groups will also move. And that means we are going to be looking at a very different industry in a few years. And frankly, it's an industry that is shown to be a true parasite. And it's one of those things, look, adults can spend money whatever the hell they want. Sure,
yeah,
right, I absolutely get that.
But please do not
gamble.
gamble.
I think there is a concept that you need to keep in mind whenever we're sort of making like libertarian-rooted arguments. And that is the simple concept of an unpriced negative externality. The point essentially being that, say, gambling, right? That leads to a whole bunch of social problems. Those social problems then, guess what? Cause problems in the community. Now that can mean that the state has got to spend money because it furthers a whole bunch of bad outcomes. Obviously, there's problems within families, problems in the community. Now that is something that we all pay a price for. Do you know who does not really pay a price for that? The gambling companies. It is an unpriced negative externality. So it's one of those things. Freedom to gamble. Positive freedom.
So yeah, what he could have said a little bit better, I think, is that when people are losing everything, basically they have to be supported by taxes, at least in Germany. When you are unemployed and so on, you will get money from the state, and we, the taxpayers, are paying for those people, basically.
That's one thing. But what about freedom from all of the negative bullshit that stems from gambling, that gambling companies inflict upon us, but do not pay for themselves? What do you think about that? And I mean that in a genuine, open way. Do let me know in the comments. And if you want another video, and a nice, spicy, legal one, watch this next.
Game price manipulation exposed. Oh no, who would have thought? I don't know, but this one is also a really good video. As always, I'm going to link this video in the description box down below. Very good video, very good. Thank you, Bellula, for that one. Really, really love him and his news coverage. Just great. But yeah, again, I just hate this. Just as I was getting excited for the world of League of Legends, again for the world of Runeterra, this stuff happens. But yeah, please leave your thoughts and questions in the comment section down below. I'm keen to know what you have to say. And while you're here, please remember to do all the things that make the dings, and by that I of course mean like and subscribe, and if you want you can share this video with your friend. Otherwise, have a great day my friend, stay fantastic, stay hydrated, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, bye, bye.